Now, I want to take everyone's attention back to September the 16th, 2011. You're tuned in to 106/ The Dark Knight Channel, and I'm your host, Ricky Cordova. And the Joker is not sending any messages anymore. This is actually the Dark Knight talking. Okay. And you see that, you see who named, you see this right here. For you guys that don't know how to read a grand jury testimony, I'm going to show you something. If you're in trial, you would say go to page 10, line 12, and quote the prosecutor. If you was in court, then you'll, if you ever been on trial or anything, that's what everything has a document number. Or she would have said the grand jury, well, we went to trial, it would have been a doc number on this. Okay? The Q is the prosecutor. The A is the witness. Okay? Now you see here where the prosecutor is egging this on because she told the girl to get up there and lie when she know good and damn well she didn't investigate it. And from the second when she said that I called her to now, she could have had phone records, because she could have had the girl to bring her phone records, and Verizon Wireless showed her unblocked calls. And I never called her with a restricted number, because why? We were somewhat seeing each other, but I haven't talked to her from May 31st, like 2 weeks before that, because I was on something different already. Okay? And I want you to look at this. He contacted me and threatened me and telling me that I need to watch my back, bitch. First of all, I don't even talk like that, really. I've been talking like that lately, but I don't even talk like that. Okay? And if you ask Heather, she'll tell you. I never came at her in a foul way. I always was sweet and nice to her, and she would tell you that. Actually, and all the other young ladies before that, they'll tell you that. Except for one, maybe. Or the ignorancy of a few people, okay, that want to play along with the / white trash down clown shit. Because that's exactly what it is. This is Brianna talking. I was at the time, I believe I was at work. Okay, now, if anybody know anything, when a person is telling a lie, they stumble on their words. I was at the time, I believe I was at work at the time. That is a lie. What grand jury didn't catch this? If it would have been on June 2nd at 9:15 in the morning, okay? It was at work. Read it. I want you guys to read this. And this is for my mother and them that don't quite understand the ignorancy of the courthouse, the ignorancy of law enforcement, the ignorancy of the judicial system, the ignorancy of an attorney who I fired because she played along my attorney who I fired played along with this garbage about me so-called running the girl off the road and didn't state nothing in the court. Right here. Played along with setting me up. They knew it was my bondsman, but they never mentioned anything about what actually took place at my attorney's office in Hartford, South Dakota. So once again, after he got bonded out, shortly after that incident, he was arrested, and he called you on the phone. You see, it's not Brianna talking, telling the story. She is leading her on to agree with her while she making up a lie. This is Crystal Johnson, who's now a judge, talking. This is Brianna once again. I'm on page 11, line 7. Okay? And she says, so Brianna had to, she had to think. She has to think before she speak. How did you know it was him? Okay? She said, right. She agreed what she's egging it on. She said, right. She said, how did you know? That's Crystal Johnson. She making up a story. Because he called me restricted. He always called me all the time. Did you recognize his voice? Yes. Have you recognized his voice on the audio? Yo, Heather and Cordova, 1 witness account, 1 college tuition. Did you recognize my attorney who I fired voice? Unlike his brother said that it could be anyone's voice. For real. Read it. Now, I could prove at the time she said that I called her, I was at Wilson Trailers in Lenox, South Dakota. Because why? I have all my invoices, and the invoices at the time I punch in and everything, and it prints. Okay? The receipt had the time, date, all that on there. And I have my phone. I can get my phone record. I have my phone records from the time she said that I called her. And by the way, my attorney who I fired did not get the phone records. I had the phone records already, and they was passed to her. Because when I found out they said that I called her. I understand the court, the reason why they violated my bond is because they try to say I called her. That's the only reason they could have violated. Because if I was out on bond and I get indicted, I continue to be out on bond. Because why? It's not a murder charge. You can't bond out on a murder charge. And any brother in their right mind, if I had been charged, I was facing the maximum penalty, 60 years. I have to go to trial on this. So the maximum penalty I lose, I get 60 years. Tack on 5 years for that, that's 65. They find some other negligent inside of it, tack on about another 10. Wasting the court's time, as they call it. That's 80 years, bro. Then you stage a car accident, that's vehicular homicide, that's a murder charge, bro. Kids, if her kids was in the car, if I would have did it, kids in the car, that's 1, 2, 3, that's 25 for each one of them. I'm facing up to 180 years, 75 years. And you dismiss it, you just dismissed the case. I had my hand broke and a gun stuck in my back. And you mentioned it in your letter to the prosecutor, but you didn't mention it in the courtroom that day. And the reason why she didn't mention it is because she didn't want it to be on this, the transcript. She didn't want it to be in the court transcript. She didn't mention no names. Paid attorney 5,000 racks. That I later fired a day or two after this. And the Federal Bureau of Investigation said this is not public corruption. Okay, you have been tuned in to 106/ The Dark Knight channel, and I am your host, the one and only Ricky Cordova. The Dark Knight, one of the greatest investigators of all times.